Okay, so I'm going to give kind of a brief discussion on fractions. So, what is a fraction? Fraction is a number of the form a over b, where a and b are both integers, and b is not zero. So, some examples of fractions include 1/2, 2/3, 8/7, 3/2, 118 thirds, 42 eighths, 7/21, and 1/9. Now, we have two different types of fractions. Proper fractions, where the numerator or top value is less than the denominator or bottom value. Proper fractions will include all numbers like 1/2, 2/3, 7/21, 1/9. These values are all proper. Improper fractions are fractions for which the numerator is equal to or greater than the denominator. So 8/7, 3/2, 118 thirds, 42 eighths are all improper fractions. Now, sometimes it's helpful to convert from proper fractions to improper fractions, or from improper fractions to proper fractions. So how do we go about doing that? So, if we want to convert from proper fractions to improper fractions, what do we do? Or, let's see, it might be more helpful to start out going from improper to proper. So, improper to proper. Okay, so let's think of an improper fraction. 9/2. So, it's apparent that we can't simply just get rid of that 9 and make it a 1/2. We have to find a way to keep the value of this the same. So, let's think about this. What is 9/2? What is that equal to in a decimal form? Well, that would be, if you plug it through your calculator or just run through the division, 4.5. So, what if we had a way to write out a decimal number like how we would write out a fraction? And we do. We call these mixed numbers, and it's where we simply write the non-decimal part of our decimal number, or our number with containing decimal. We write that out like normal, and then instead of writing the decimal places, we write the fraction. So here we take every number to the left of the decimal place and we write it as we would normally, and then we take every number to the right of the decimal place and we convert that into a fraction. This is apparent with our 4.5, that 4.5 equals 4 plus 0.5. We have a similar kind of idea going on here. 4 and 1/2 is the same as 4 plus 1/2. Make sure you don't multiply these out. That would give you a wrong value most, if not all of the time. Okay, so this is a way that we can write an improper fraction as a proper fraction, or at least as a number that contains only proper fractions. These mixed numbers are any number of the form a times b, or not, you see, made the mistake myself, a b over c, and it would be a plus b over c. So, this would be the form of our mixed number. So let's see, if we want to convert some improper fraction to a mixed number, how do we go about doing that? So, okay, so let's think of an example. 13 eighths. So if we want to convert this to a mixed number of the form a, b over c, how do we go about doing this? First, how do we find our a? A will simply be the non-decimal value of a division, 8 into 13. So you would just go through this division and go until you hit a decimal and then stop. So here we would only need to find the first value. Here we would put a decimal, but that's where we stop. We don't go through the decimal section. So this will give us our a right here. That is our a. How do we get our b? Well, with this form, we actually get to our b and c. This value, our 8, will always be our c, and this value will be our b. So we can write 13 over 8 is 1 and 5/8 just by looking and going through a division problem. Now, it might be easy to think that you just have to do one step, but it's not always so simple. Let's think of a case where we have to do a few more. Let's say 16 over 3. So, how do we find a mixed number representation of the improper fraction 16 over 3? We would start out, write a division for 16 divided by 3. How many times would 3 go into 16? 5. So this time we would have 5 instead of 1 and 1/3. This still is a one-step problem, so let's see if we can think of one that's a bit harder. 117 fifths. This should give us a step problem, so let's convert this into a mixed fraction. So 5 divided by 100, or 117 divided by 5, my apologies. How many times does 5 go into 11? Well, that would be 2. So it would give us 10. Subtracting those would give us 17. How many times does 5 go into 17? 3 times. So 15, 2. So here would be where we would hit our decimal place. We stop here. We take this value. This is going to be our a. So 23. This is our b. Oop. This would be our c. My apologies. This is our c. And this would be our b. So using that, we are able to convert 117 fifths into a mixed number representation of 23 and 2/5. Okay, so using this simple step or simple process, we can convert from an improper fraction to a proper fraction. Sometimes, however, it's advantageous to convert from a mixed number to an improper fraction. So how do we go about doing that? Let's see here. If we have a mixed number of the form a, b over c, the conversion is much more straightforward. All we would do is take a times c plus b over c. This would be our mixed number, and this is our improper fraction. For example, if we were to convert 10 and 2/5 into an improper fraction, we would simply take 5 multiplied by 10 and get 50 plus 2, 52 fifths. So there we go. This process is much more straightforward, so I'll only do this one example. If you are running into any problems, just try a few on your own and see what happens. You can always check yourself in the calculator or by using something like Wolfram Alpha. So if there's any confusion with this, I would highly recommend running through some practice. With that being said, that is everything that I wanted to discuss in this video. Hopefully by now you will understand fractions, both proper and improper, and how to convert from mixed numbers to improper fractions and from improper fractions to mixed numbers. Thank you very much for watching.